Live from the slightly twisted deck bar, it's the Poojie Podcast with Justin Lemie.
The Poojie Podcast is proudly sponsored by Cimarron Golf Club, located in Jacksonville, Florida, off County Road 210, just west of St. John's Parkway.
What is going on, everybody? It is lunchtime here, Tuesday, September 1st. That's right, we are into September. This year is just flying by, and luckily so. Hopefully it just keeps flying by, and we can just do a hard reset come 2021. But NHL playoffs are in full swing. The NBA playoffs, there's some Game 7s coming up, and the MLB season on the tail end of that season. Excitement going on there. We'll get to that in the PoojiePartlay portion of this episode. But we're here, episode 40, an extremely good interview coming up with an acquaintance of mine from the PGA Tour. I'm looking forward to letting him discuss some PGA Tour topics here with the Tour Championship coming up this week out of East Lake. But like I mentioned, it is September right around now. We're already 1 week into college football. We have the NFL starting soon. Cuts are starting, but it's an unorthodox year. But we still have NFL football coming up, and that's what I want to talk about today. As I mention often, about 300 or 400 yards that way from me is the Jaguars TIAA Bank Field. And what news has come out of Jacksonville the past 2 or 3 days? Yannick Ngakoue getting traded to the Minnesota Vikings for a second-round pick and conditional fifth-round pick that could turn into a fourth or third-round pick. And then the very next day, no more than 24 hours later, Leonard Fournette, the lead running back for the Jaguars, gets waived from the team. Doug Marrone, quote, saying we couldn't get anything for him in a trade, not a fifth, not a sixth, not a seventh, nothing. So Leonard Fournette is off the team. It looks like the Gardner Minshew show is in full effect here in Jacksonville, and I know a lot of fans are up in arms about both the Yannick Ngakoue situation and Leonard Fournette. Let's start with Ngakoue. I think fans, including myself, are just a little bit tired of having these superstars on our team and the team finding ways to mess it up. We've seen it time and time again. Allen Robinson started the domino, tore his ACL the first play of the 2017 season. Jags end up going into the AFC Championship game. The team opts to not re-sign him, give him an extension, anything like that. He walks and goes to Chicago. Then, of course, we have the Jalen Ramsey situation, which we're all very aware of. And then the Yannick Ngakoue situation currently. Dante Fowler was thrown in there at some point. Calais Campbell has since left. Out of the starters for the 2017 defense in that AFC Championship game, we are currently looking at Avery Jones and Miles Jack being the only stars left on the team. So the defense is going to look a whole lot different. Now, does a whole lot different mean a whole lot worse? I'm not here to say that. I'm pretty confident in what pieces we have in place on defense. I like what they've done with the front seven. I'm thinking we might see more of a 3-4 formation going into this season. I think the secondary is where we're vulnerable. We do have some spots there. It will take C.J. Henderson some time to get his own in the NFL, kind of get his bearings and everything. We still have DJ Hayden, but we will need some help. We have Gerard Wilson and Ronnie Harrison at safety. So some pieces still in place. I don't think we're going to be the greatest defense in the league, but I do think the Jags could have a top 15, maybe in that 15 to 20 range for defense. But the rush defense is what everyone's going to be looking at. And with the amount of defensive linemen that have either retired or opted out this season, it's going to be tough. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, Leonard Fournette is gone. Does that make a difference for the Jags? Leonard Fournette was not going to be the guy that took the Jags from winning 6 games to winning 10 games. He wasn't going to be that guy, simply not his style of play. That's not to say he's not a good running back, and that's not to say he won't be successful the next place he goes. But with the offseason moves that have been made, getting Jay Gruden in as offensive coordinator, Leonard Fournette as a running back doesn't necessarily fit his system, and unfortunately, that's just sometimes how it goes in the NFL. We've seen time and time again these running backs that go in the top 5, top 10, guys that are successful. They don't get those second contracts with their first teams, and a lot of times that's just because the wear and tear on their bodies and the teams don't see the value in it. They want to try and transition to that air attack passing game, and I think that's what the Jags are doing. Going into this season, it was always going to be, what will the fans see from Gardner Minshew? What will the team see from Gardner Minshew? And will he be the guy going forward? Is it going to be bad missing Leonard Fournette as that go-to running back if we need 3 or 4 yards? Yes. Few explosive plays here and there. The 90-yard run in Pittsburgh comes to mind. That was a great run. There's a lot of good memories from Leonard Fournette, and I know he's going to be missed here. He was one of those players that the fans here in Jacksonville really enjoyed rallying behind. And quite frankly, he was one of the last offensive pieces that the team had from that 2017 AFC Championship run. So with him being gone, the team looks completely different on both sides of the ball. I hope it wasn't a bad farewell to Leonard Fournette, at least from the fan base. I think he really supported the organization and the community, Duval County, and I know he respected the fans a lot. And that's important to me, that players are able to separate the organization's feelings from the fans' feelings. And I think he understands that the fans didn't make this decision. And I hope the fans, at least a majority of them, wish him well moving forward in his NFL career. So interesting moves. A lot of people think that the Jags are tanking for Trevor Lawrence. My hot take is that Trevor Lawrence decides not to come out next year and stays his fourth year in Clemson to get a fourth year under his belt, and the tank job does not work. I don't necessarily think the Jags are even planning on tanking. Let's be real. Doug Marrone's job is in jeopardy. Dave Caldwell's job is in jeopardy. I don't know if tanking is the right word for it, but the team is definitely not one of the best rosters in the league, so we'll see how many games they can win this season. So looking forward to this episode. Like I mentioned, that was just some Jaguar talk, getting some things out there as to what's happening there. Still a lot of bright spots on the offense with the receivers and, of course, Gardner Minshew. But stick around. Check out this episode from PGA Tour Vice President of Communications, Chris Reimer, has some great topics to talk about the PGA Tour's return into the sports world, where things stand with the FedEx Cup playoffs, and who his predictions are, as well as his thoughts on the Jaguars as well. So stick around for that. PoojiePartlay presented by Shores Pub Mandarin to follow. But for now, VP of Communications for the PGA Tour, Chris Reimer, presented by Strings Sports Brewery. Enjoy. Yes, of course. Thank you to Strings Sports Brewery for helping support the podcast. They do a great job there just north of downtown Jacksonville with all the sports finally back. Hockey, NBA, NASCAR, everything's going on, including baseball. Definitely go check out Strings Sports Brewery there on North Jacks, just north of downtown on Main Street. They do a great job. But I am pleased to have this guest join me this week. I know I've brought you hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer, all sorts of different videos, episodes regarding different sports. And this is my first golf video I'll be releasing on the Poojie Podcast. So excited for that, and excited to have my guest here today, Vice President of Communications for the PGA Tour, Chris Reimer. Chris, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and excited to join and talk a little golf with you, but obviously excited to listen to all the other sports as well, but appreciate you having me.
For sure, and I see you have the mouth guard up and everything. You're up at the tournament right now in Atlanta, kind of following the protocols and everything.
Yeah, this is we are officially inside the bubble, coming to you live from inside the bubble at East Lake Golf Club for the Tour Championship this week. So got to follow protocols, and you get to see half of my ugly face, so that's probably better for your viewers and listeners that you don't get to see all of it.
No, well, hey, it's good. It's good to know you're following protocols and everything, trying to keep everything continued and smooth. I know there were a few flare-ups at the beginning of the restart, but everything seems to have gone smoothly since then. But I do want to just ask real quick. I know you're a big Jags fan, obviously living here in Jacksonville for some time now. Before this interview, the segment beforehand talked a little bit about the Jaguars' moves recently. What have you thought recently about what they've done in back-to-back days with the Yannick Ngakoue trade, waiving Leonard Fournette? What do you see from this team?
I think the big surprise, and it's not necessarily what they've done the last few days, it's just when you see those graphics and the names of everybody that was on that 2017 team, when you see the image at the airport, and just the fact that all those players are gone now, Jacksonville deserves that winning franchise so much, and you got the smallest taste of it with 2017, and you saw how the city reacted to having something to cheer for, and you just want that back for this community. I think we see how the entire North Florida community supports the Players Championship, and when you just get a little bit of a winning attitude, how this community comes alive, and it just makes it fun for everybody when the Jaguars are good. I was around when they went to the playoffs in the 90s, and I remember that feeling, and that's just the hard part, is here we are again, seemingly starting from scratch. Now, with that said, what they've been able to get for some of these guys, the picks they got for Jalen, and I think the second and the potential fourth round pick they got for Ngakwe, hopefully they can put those to good use, because I like what they've got with Josh Allen and CJ Henderson, and it seems like Laviska is going to be really good, and DJ Shark is an upcoming star, so it seems like they're headed in the right direction. It just stinks that we have to go through it again so quickly, when we were seemingly so close last time.
Yeah, I definitely like the embarrassment of riches when it comes to the draft picks, and it seems like the team always does a great job with the draft picks. I mean, there's been first rounders in the past that have kind of fizzled out, and that might be the biggest knock on the team. But as far as second, third rounders, even undrafted free agents, they've done a great job putting teams together, and now it's all about how can we handle keeping these players on the roster. But I completely agree with you that winning attitude and winning culture changes a lot for the organization. I hope that they can get back to that sooner than later with Minshew and, like you mentioned, the weapons that we do have on offense on the outside. But enough about the Jags. We'll have plenty to talk about with them coming up in the next few weeks. But with your position within the PGA Tour, what exactly does that entail? Maybe some of the cool stories that you've gotten to experience from simply what you do with the tour.
Yeah, so my team is in charge of what we call our championship management events, and as quickly as I can explain it, every PGA Tour tournament is kind of its own franchise, if you will. Not all of them are run by the tour. Some are their own 501c3 organizations. There are a group of 12 events that are actually owned and operated completely by the tour. So my team is in charge of the PR and communications year-round in those markets. So Tour Championship, our playoff event in Boston, the Players Championship, the WGCs, the President's Cup, and a few others. So when you think about it, I've been doing this job now for 17 years. I've been with the tour for 19. When you kind of favorite moments, the first thing that comes to your mind is we all got a front row seat being on the green for those wins of the most transcendent athlete of our time. So being around Tiger, we were able to have him as our President's Cup captain last 2019 for the U.S. team. So really just got some cool exposure and access to Tiger as part of his role as U.S. team captain. So anytime you get, again, when he won here, he won his 80th here. Remember the crowd coming down the fairway behind him as his first victory, before Augusta, after his return. I was one of 7 people that walked into the scoring trailer with him and was in there, and seeing his emotions and being a part of that, that's just access that not many people have. And so I count myself very fortunate to be able to kind of be a very close witness to Tiger's career and be on the green for so many of his wins. In addition to that, I wasn't a huge golf guy when I started. So learning more about the sport and the athletes and the people that are around this sport, it is a special sport, and it does a lot for charity. The people are great. And so, we kind of set up our traditions in every market that we go to, what restaurants we're going to eat at, what karaoke bars we're going to go out to. But you have all these different families and different groups of friends across the U.S. Or across the world, actually. I get to travel to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and Shanghai, and Australia, and Canada, and you get to go to so many neat places, and the people that you meet, are really what make it special. And so the traveling circus part of the job has been something that I've really loved.
Yeah, that ultimately sounds like a dream, especially for any golf fan, being able to go to those tournaments and getting that access for those different events, like you mentioned, especially with Tiger Woods, someone who's done so much for the sport as far as its growth and what the sport has become in modern era. Is there any particular tournament that stands out to you that is maybe your favorite to go to yearly, or one that you kind of circle on the calendar?
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because they're all so much fun, and they're all fun and for different reasons. This one is one of those events where the lead up, the kind of Sunday through what would normally be Wednesday, and then the first round on Thursday this week, it's going to tee off on Friday because of Labor Day. This is one of those where those 3 days are just packed with commissioner press conferences and all the things we do with players and tasting events and the Payne Stewart Award ceremony. And so by the time you actually get to Thursday, you're just like, okay, let's play golf. And then it's only 30 guys, late tee times. We have a couple favorite restaurants in Atlanta that we love going to. And of course, it's the season-ending championship. So when you do get to Sunday, there's that sense of it's even bigger than some. The Players' Championship is obviously near and dear to my heart, having been a part of the growth of that event. But we don't go to bad places. We don't go to, everywhere we go, we have, again, media that we work with, people that we meet, restaurants. There's a tournament in Akron that has now moved to Memphis. It used to be the Bridgestone Invitational. It's now Fedex. At Bridgestone, at Firestone, there's these two extra courses. It's the South course is where the tournament is played, and then there's the West and the North course. Well, as soon as we got our job done, we would hop in our media golf carts and go try to chase the sun and play as many holes as we could, from 7 to 8:42 p.m. And you're out there with your cell phone cameras on the last hole. And obviously, I've gotten to go to Maui a few times. That's a completely different religious experience. It's such a beautiful place. Going to Australia, seeing the golf courses and the people over there. There's not just one. They all have so many cool things that go along with them. And then, the biggest thing are the playoffs and the moments like we had last week with Dustin and Jon Rahm. There are tournaments that are kind of snooze fests on Sunday where somebody has a 6 or 7 stroke lead. But when you get into those moments where there's a playoff or where it comes down right down to the last hole, it gets really exciting. And those are always just fun to feel the adrenaline, the electricity of the competition in the air. So, yeah, too hard to pick one. A lot of good moments.
Yeah, and I know you briefly just mentioned last week's tournament. I know we kind of talked briefly on Twitter about it, but it's interesting. I was looking at this week's tournament, and I didn't realize it was almost identical as far as yardage goes, par 70. Do you think that helps prepare these guys for this tournament coming off the Northern Trust last week? Or not the Northern Trust, excuse me,
the
BMW Championship, par 70, over 7,300 yards. And what exactly happened last week that made that course so difficult for these guys to score?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's interesting is last week, they come here, they're familiar with East Lake. They've been here, they've played here. Last week was a relatively new venue. It wasn't one that they play on each and every week. I think they had the right mixture of length, rough height, tightness of the fairways, speed of the greens. It kind of had that U.S. Open feel to it in the way that they set it up. But you didn't hear guys complaining that it wasn't fair or that it was too tricky. That's when you kind of know you've got a good golf course. I think here, you're usually around 9, 10, 11 under, whereas so it'll be a little bit, a few more scoring opportunities here. But overall, this is the course where Bobby Jones grew up playing. This is the home of Bobby Jones. There's so much history here. The players come here and they really love this golf course and the way that the trees and the slopes and the natural shape of the earth shape their shots in the golf course. So, I think, if you look at the history of winners we've had lately, it's Tiger, it's Rory, it's Justin Thomas, it's Xander Schauffele. It's a good mix of guys who have to have kind of every part of their game going. I know for a fact, having spoken to him, Dustin Johnson, he was upstairs here in 2016. There was a playoff between Rory and Ryan Moore. And if Ryan Moore wins, then Dustin wins the FedEx Cup. Rory goes on to win. And I know that that's one that Dustin Johnson really wishes he had back. He is dead serious when he says that the FedEx Cup is one of the things that he wants to accomplish in his career. So I know he's focused on it outside of the 15 million reasons why to be focused on it. And he's a guy who has a little more experience here than Jon Rahm. But I mean, the first time ever that the top 3 players in the FedEx Cup are the same as the top 3 players in the official World Golf ranking. So you've got, when we first launched the playoffs as an idea, it used to be PGA Championship ended and the players went away. They were gone until, the fall. Now you have the best players in the world with that extra thing to play for at the end of the season. And you're seeing the top guys and Jon Rahm and Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas. Like, it's shaping up to be a really exciting week.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It seems like it's going to be one of those things where, and sorry, I think there's lawnmowers going on behind me here, but it seems like it's going to be one of those weeks where a lot of those top dogs are at the top. I mean, Dustin Johnson starts 10 under, you got 8 under, 7 under. The staggered scoring seems to make it for an exciting event. I know that just started last season. So like you mentioned, Dustin Johnson waiting for Ryan Moore to potentially win. that takes that element out of it, because now the winner of this tournament wins the FedEx Cup. So that has to be kind of add a little bit level of excitement to that Sunday round for these guys, knowing, hey, if I can just get there and win it. And we've seen it pay off, right? Rory McIlroy started 5 under last year, shot 13 under through the tournament, finished 18 under, and ended up winning it. So we've seen guys kind of inch back and claw back, and it really kind of gives everyone a chance, but still favors those guys that are towards the top of the standings. So I really like it. Has there been any backlash on the setup from any of the players or from any of the golf world, or does everyone pretty much seem to enjoy the way that they have it set up with the staggered standing scores to start the tournament?
The idea was simplicity, and so that you weren't trying to pay attention to points and prognostication and who's going to go where and all these things. The idea is simplifying it. You look at the leaderboard, you know who's in the lead, and you know who's going to win the FedEx Cup. Obviously, the year one worked out really well. If you looked at the scores, the tournament, the way the FedEx Cup points have been done in the past, it all would have been very similar, but it was just easier to figure out. We'll see where we end up this year. I think it's way better. I think it's, so much easier after the end of day one to just look at the leaderboard and see where everybody is. Could there be a time in the next 5-10 years where they decide to tweak it because maybe it's too hard for the guy who's in, 8th place to come back and win? I don't know, but I think so far mission accomplished in that it creates a lot of excitement, and it creates a lot more, simplicity when you're following along at home.
Chris, I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick. So give me 1 second, because they are doing yard work back here. I'm going to move to another spot, so let me pause it, and then we'll jump right back in, okay? So I apologize. Alrighty, Chris. Sorry about that, Chris. I had to move over here to get away from some of the lawn work going on over there, so my apologies there. But no, based on what you were just saying about the staggered scoring, I think it does give everyone a fair chance to compete at least. Obviously, this year with the guys that are at the top, with Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, and Dustin Johnson, those are the best 3 guys in the world right now, so it makes it more difficult for some of those guys a little bit further back to catch up. But I guess that's the excitement in it, and that gives them a chance to play for it, even the guy in 30th. Something interesting happened this past weekend where Mackenzie Hughes had to make a 5-foot putt, I believe it was, to get 30th in the FedEx Cup. Had you had a chance to talk to him at all about that, or what were your thoughts on that and kind of what those underlying stories provide for the sport?
Yeah, I think the just reaching the field at the Tour Championship unlocks a lot of next year for a lot of these guys. So by getting in the field, Mackenzie Hughes is able to play in 3 of the 4 majors next year. He gets into Hawaii for the Century Tournament Champions. There's World Golf Championship events. So it's obviously you want to reach the Tour Championship for a lot of different reasons to have a chance to win the FedEx Cup. But what it does for your season next year is huge for a lot of these guys. And it makes, that Sunday, we're following Dustin, we're following Jon Rahm, but, Billy Horschel is playing with Corey Connors, and Corey 3 waggles, 3 putts from 5 feet, which ends up getting Billy Horschel into the field, into the top 30. He joked he was going to send Corey a couple nice bottles of wine as a thank you for the 3 putt. I haven't talked to Mackenzie Hughes, but I think, with that finish, he actually moved. I think he jumped Adam Hadwin as the highest ranked Canadian player in the world. So there's a lot on the line. And I do think at the beginning of the year when guys write down their goals, they may have major championships written in there, but a lot of them put, reach East Lake. And so it's a big reward, and it's a big goal for these guys. And then, they come here and he's probably starting a little too far down to think he has a chance of winning. But if you look at, there are players who have come back from 6-8 strokes behind in their career after round 1 to win. So if you go out and put up a low score on Thursday, all of a sudden things start to open up for you.
Yeah, it's all about getting yourself mentally in it and knowing that you have a chance. And at this point, being in the field alone, it should be enough. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, for lack of a better term, it is the Super Bowl of golf. Like, this is the championship, all said and done. What are your thoughts following this tournament? And we'll cut it off after this here in a little bit. But after this tournament, you still have the U.S. Open coming up in September. You have the Masters coming up in November. What is that doing for the PGA Tour? How unorthodox of a season this has been? Is it exciting? Are you guys kind of ready to just get this thing over with? where are you guys at as far as the tour goes?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think first and foremost, the fact that we made it here, right? Nobody knew what was going to happen for the season entirety when we announced we'd come back and restart our play at Colonial. And so, kudos to all of the operational teams, all of the competition teams. My first event that I came out on site in the bubble was Memphis, and I was just blown away by the accountability that everybody within this traveling circus handles. It's a testament to so many people that we made it to the Tour Championship, and that we're, for a sport that travels week in, week out, our athletes, some of them go home and then come back out on the road. The caddies, and we have, I think, 3 or 4 consecutive weeks now with 0 positive tests. That's huge for the sport. It's huge for our fans, for our sponsors, for TV partners. So I think first and foremost, celebrate the fact that we made it here and that we're going to finish this season in such a strange year. And then on top of that, normally they go from here right to a Ryder Cup or President's Cup, and then the top players shut it down, and we maybe see them again in Hawaii, in January. So I think this fall is going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be so much fun to have all of these sports, football and all of these other sports and major golf all together. I think it's going to be so wild to see a Masters in November and what that weekend will be like if the NFL is still up and playing, seeing a Masters without fans. I think that, you get a decent leaderboard there on the weekend and you're going to break records for ratings. And then, we just announced 2 of our tournaments that were supposed to be in Asia are now going to be played in Las Vegas and LA in the CJ Cup and Zozo. You're going to see really good fields in the fall because guys aren't just going to hang them up and then just go play the US Open or go play Augusta without any practice. So I think you're going to see better fields in the fall. I think it's an exciting time. I think everybody needs a little bit of a break here for the next couple of weeks, but I think we're going to have some really good golf to have this fall, which will be, I don't know, for me as a fan, it's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah, definitely from a fan's point of view, I will say, and you just hit it right there at the end, the fields have been phenomenal over the last 2 or 3 months. These players wanting to get back out there, collect that paycheck, get those points towards the FedEx Cup, and it's been a lot of fun. I think there's maybe only been 1 or 2 tournaments that's been a little bit lackluster as far as the field goes, but for the most part, every field, even the ones you wouldn't expect to be too large with too many crowded big names at the top, they've had great success filling up those spots on the tournament sheet. So that's been fun. And then also I know some of the tournaments were toying around with the idea of getting fans back onto the course. That didn't work out for a few places, but I know fans will be back, me included, in due time as soon as it becomes safe to do so. As fans at home, we're going to love it. We're going to enjoy it, like you mentioned, with the ratings. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch moving forward. Last question, who's your pick to win the FedEx Cup, win the Tour Championship? Who are you rolling with? And I'm not going to tip it off to the guys over at 1010XL tomorrow if you're doing brunch.
Well, yeah, thanks. I have a place in my heart for Dustin. I think he's been so close so many times for the Tour Championship that if you made me put my hand in the fire, who would I pick to win? It would probably be Dustin. I think if you go back to his return to golf, he was 111th in the FedEx Cup standings when we came back, and so of all the players in the top 30, he had the farthest to come, and he's in first. And so between having the 3rd round lead at the PGA and just getting outplayed by Colin Morikawa, his play at Boston, he very easily could have won last week. To me, he's the clear favorite. I'll be curious to see how Webb Simpson plays. He took last week off, so does he come back a little refreshed? And he starts at 6 under par, so 4 strokes over 4 rounds isn't that much to make up. We'll see then, the other guys, number 5 through 10, you've got Daniel Berger, who's playing some of the best golf. Harris English, who's a Georgia guy. So does he know the course well enough to have that be an advantage for him? And then I don't think you can ever count out Bryson back at number 8, with his power and everything he's got going on. But if I had to pick one guy, it'd be Dustin at this point.
Well, there you go, Dustin Johnson, and I know you mentioned Harris English there, one of the few Jaguar fans actually on tour. I know you've had some fun conversations with him about that, but definitely looking forward to this week. And a Monday Labor Day finish is exciting as well. My birthday coming up on Sunday, so I'm going to be celebrating my birthday by watching the Tour Championship the whole weekend. I'm extremely looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you jumping in doing this.
I got a question for you. How old are you going to be on Sunday?
I'll be turning 26 on Sunday.
Okay, so I turned 47 on Sunday. We share a birthday,
Really?
apparently. Yep, September 6th. Let's go.
September 6th. That's awesome.
Only 20 years.
We'll be celebrating there at the tournament. I'll be celebrating watching the tournament. But I'm really looking forward to it. Happy early birthday to you, and definitely enjoy Atlanta and your time there at the Tour Championship, all right?
Have a good one, bud. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So thank you again to Chris Reimer for joining the Poojie Podcast. It was great talking with him, someone I enjoy talking golf with whenever we get the chance. I know he's extremely busy traveling all over the place for tournaments, so I'm happy he was able to take some time out of his day in Atlanta to record that episode with me for the Tour Championship coming up, the Super Bowl of golf. It's going to be a good one. Dustin Johnson up there at 10 under already leading the FedEx Cup, but just behind him you have John Rahm in second, Justin Thomas in third. Those guys starting at 8 under and 7 under. I really don't think the PGA Tour could have asked for much better than this. And Dustin Johnson looking for his first FedEx Cup victory. So it's going to be a good one. Watching this weekend at Eastlake. I'll have to get my picks out on Friday, possibly a Thursday night actually. Based the tournament starting on Friday, going until Labor Day on Monday, which is exciting for me. I'll get those picks out there. And then obviously NASCAR finished up this past Saturday with an extremely exciting race. A lot of bubble drivers on the line. William Byron ended up getting into the playoffs by winning the Daytona 400, the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Won the race, but just behind him, Chase Elliott in second and Denny Hamlin in third. Denny Hamlin I had for a top 3 finish, so I'm happy I hit on that. And Jimmy Johnson, unfortunately, did not qualify for the playoffs. The 7-time Cup champion will not be in the playoffs in what many believe to be his last season and in the Cup Series. So I'll get some picks for the NASCAR races coming up this weekend, or the NASCAR race coming up this weekend in the playoffs. Looking forward to that. Hockey finishing up in the second round. The Tampa Bay Lightning polished off the Boston Bruins in 5 games, won 4-1. Or won 4 games to 1 in that series. A 2 overtime thriller this past Monday night to get the job done. A Victor Hedman goal about 15 minutes into the second overtime to win it. Got it past Halak there, and the Bruins go down. Was nice to see the Lightning move on. Tonight, we're looking at Tuesday, September 1st. The Flyers are playing the Islanders. We'll see, if the Islanders can finish off the Flyers. If that's the case, then it will be the Lightning versus the Islanders in the Eastern Conference Finals. Colorado beats Dallas Monday night as well, so that series is now 3-2. And we'll see tonight if the Canucks can get a game back against the Knights to make it a 3-2 series. And in the world of basketball, the OKC Thunder force a Game 7 against the James Harden, Russell Westbrook-led Houston Rockets. That's going to be an exciting Game 7. Both those teams have played so well this series. And we also have Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell with the Nuggets and Jazz in a Game 7 there. So while we haven't gotten any Game 7s in the NHL, 2 Game 7s already in Round 1, and Round 2 is already underway as well for the NBA playoffs. I look forward to getting the NBA panel on the podcast here again soon to discuss Round 2 and beyond. So for now, that's all I got. The Tampa Bay Rays are the hottest team in baseball right now. That's about all I have to say about baseball. Will we see the Tampa Bay Rays up against my Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series? More to come from baseball in the next few weeks. We'll see what's going on there. But for now, go enjoy the rest of your week. It's only Wednesday. It's only Tuesday if you're watching Tuesday, if you're listening on Wednesday. So enjoy the rest of your week. Look forward to this exciting weekend filled with sports, the Tour Championship from the PGA. Thanks for tuning in, and go make this world a better place. Thanks.